everybody out there in comic book land? My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and we are here for another episode of the Major Issues podcast brought to you by ComicBook Clique. And as part of the Clique, you know I'm not here alone for his first appearance in 2018.
How's
Sir?
it going, everyone? It's Jonathan Escudero, aka Yogi.
Yogi is back, and we got some things to talk about, man. You know, we've kind of held you off a bit, brother. I know we've been talking about a lot of comic book movies, but I've been dying to get back to the nitty-gritty of major issues, the actual issues of comic books, and there is no issue of comic books right now that is making more headlines than Batman number 39.
Ooh, boy.
Written by Tom King, and that's what we're going to sit here and talk about, but more than that, we're going to sit here and try to deconstruct the Batman that Tom King has created, because he's been the writer of the main Batman title for the longest time, especially since this new Rebirth initiative. And he's done some things that people like, some things that people don't. I guess just off the bat in general, how do you feel about Tom King's run as Batman? Do you have a favorite Batman writer? Is there somebody who you think is the voice of the Dark Knight? Because a little bit of history of myself, I started reading comics. I got in with Court of Owls. I thought that was amazing. And so Batman was the first hero I followed issue to issue, which was amazing. You know, all those, I think he's the best one to follow issue to issue, because all his stories are detective stories, and so you're getting these mysteries unfolding little by little. But I feel like that makes me partial. But do you have a favorite Batman writer? Do you?
I do have a favorite Batman writer.
Okay.
That would have to be Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's Batman run to me is like the Batman run. And that was actually the first Batman run that I read completely, specifically because an author wrote that run.
Right.
Before that, I was just following comics because I love Batman. He's cool. I love
Whoever
Superman,
writes,
he's cool.
whoever writes.
But because it's the hero.
It's
Who
still going
cares?
to be Batman. It's still the Batcave. It's still the
But
Batmobile.
eventually I did notice, sometimes when this guy writes, it's better than when this guy's writing. So I should probably go check out with some more stuff.
I mean, Grant's a humongous reason why Damian's even in the fold.
Yeah, Grant Morrison did introduce Damian, and that was like one of the first things he did. Like the very first thing he
Son of
did.
Batman. He's like, if I'm going to be doing this,
If I'm going to be doing Batman, I'm giving him the kid.
Yeah.
He makes people work to understand what he's writing, though.
No, it's true.
And so that puts off a lot of newcomers because there's so much research that has to be done to completely understand every reference and everything that he's trying to say. But he did sort of make his Batman run feel like it encompassed everything that Batman was, and not just a gritty detective, dark Batman. We're talking even the campy, weird 1960s
his
Batman.
Villains, Grant Morrison's Batman villains.
Oh,
like
Professor
Flamingo.
Pig.
You remember Flamingo?
Oh, the Flamingo.
Out of control. Some of these characters really brought the comic aspect, like the weird, like this can't happen in the real world kind of aspect into it, which is a lot of the reasons why we read these comics is escapism. I did like Morrison. I feel like when he brought Damian on, he made him very. He was able to humanize Batman in a way, and Batman stopped kind of being the guy who had all the answers. Like he would be like, "What? A multiverse?" Like
he's dealing with this little piece of
he
trash.
He didn't have the answers, and he becomes a human. I remember. I loved his run with Dick Grayson as Batman as well.
Oh, that's. I love Dick as Batman. First of all, that's like.
But I wonder if any other writer could have done Dick as Batman.
Scott Snyder actually did a crazy great story.
Are we talking about Black Mirror?
The Black Mirror.
Black Mirror
yeah.
is. If you have not read Batman Black Mirror, this is a horror film put to comic book pages.
It's so good.
Panel to panel, literally shot like a horror film, like the way certain things are up. But yeah, it just shows you how many different genres the Batman mythos can go in. With that being, horror, you have the obviously built-in cop drama with all the detective stuff. But it seems like Tom King is going in a more romantic.
Oh yeah,
in a more romantic way for Batman. We've seen Batman push away the Silver Saint Clouds of the world and push aside the Jezebel Jets. I want to say.
Well, you know what? That's not right, because he's been hurt so many times. Like we all want to think of him as this stoic guy that doesn't want to any romance because
Right.
it interferes with his mission. But he's been with like 5 different chicks,
He's
and
trying. He's
he has
trying.
tried, man. He has tried.
But one thing in the lineage of Batman that has always been true is he's had a very special place in his heart for Selena Kyle,
Selena
the
Kyle.
Catwoman. Even going, I mean, there's now two films that
Yeah.
deal with Batman and Catwoman and their sort of kind of flirtatious nature at play. How do you feel about, prior to this King run, how did you feel about the Cat-Bat relationship? Is it one of your favorites in comics? Do you think that they go well together?
But mainstream media will always play it as Selena Kyle is Bruce Wayne's forbidden love.
Yeah.
But I've seen him with so many different women now that I'm like, I didn't feel that way about it. Tom King actually was the one. You could say he convinced me.
Yeah.
Batcat is the way to go. But I was always a Wonder Bat kind of guy.
Yeah, man.
I always wanted Wonder Woman to be with Batman, and that's because I grew up on the Justice League cartoons where they had the romantic, the sexual tension.
Definitely. Do you think Batman works better with a muse, because I mean, Superman is almost not Superman without Lois, right? Without that grounding point.
At this point, after so many years, yeah,
it's become synonymous.
It's very good. It's cool to see Superman have a family now. But before he had a family, he did have Lois to bounce off of, someone who cared for him, someone who doesn't want him doing this. I want to keep you for myself. I don't want you out there helping the world. So it's great to see Batman have to deal with this type of thing. Even though Selena's a little different than Lois in that.
Oh, very different than Lois.
She's not trying to like keep Bruce from doing what he's doing. Not that Lois ever tries to keep Superman from doing what he's doing. She always says, that's not the man that I love. If he doesn't go. But Selena's very she's almost like his little Robin now. Like
yeah. I think. And Bruce Wayne has these characters littered throughout his life, right? The character that says, I believe in you and what you do, but because I believe in you and what you do, you also can't stop me. Because if you believe in what you do and you don't want to be stopped, you can't stop me either because...
You can't be a hypocrite.
Yeah, you can't be a hypocrite. Damien's the same way, right? Damien showed up and was like, I'm going to fight crime. No, you're not. You fight crime.
He's like, well, you're not going to do it the way you do. You murderer.
He's like, listen, the Teen Titans will answer to me. And he's like, no, we won't. Okay, fine, but listen, you're still going to bed at 10:30. No, I won't. Well, fine. He, as a person that is always the stoic person, like you were saying, it takes these other characters, these outside characters, to push him in a more humanistic light. And did you feel at any point there was criticisms being made that Batman was getting to a point of being as superhuman as some of his other Justice League members?
Well, I mean, Amanda Waller has him classified as a metahuman, doesn't she?
Right, and there was that whole thing about him having the metal in his blood, and that made him a metahuman, as we learned in Dark Knight's Metal.
The metal in his blood technically makes him a meta, but he doesn't have any powers. There's nothing that's
super rich.
There's nothing super about him except for his wallet.
Super bank account.
super
investments.
Exactly. He's got a meta wallet, maybe money that keeps multiplying. But...
Yeah, there you go. But no powers outright.
No outright powers, none.
Do you feel like he was ever written unrealistically, considering he doesn't have powers?
This
is the guy that takes knife stabs.
It's been a long life for Batman, and I mean, sometimes he is written as this unbeatable Bat God, but some of that could be explained away by well, it can't be explained away. It's all usually it's convenient.
But just as often, we get the visage of him battered and bruised in the Batcave, right? Bleeding, being tended to by Alfred. I think we get a good, healthy dose of both. Yeah, both. I am human, so yeah, that punch in the dick hurt. And then you have the, I can go at this. Like I feel like he was kind of subhuman in the button, right? When Reverse Flash is giving it to this man, in the button, and he still managed to kind of leave it. Overtime.
He's still so cool. Even if he's getting his face beaten, he is the coolest guy.
Oh, yeah. Overtime.
Sorry, Bats. He's not coming.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting a more humanistic Bats. Like I said, leaning towards the romance aspects of it.
Yeah,
but
Tom King's run, actually, I mean, other than the button and maybe I Am Suicide, he hasn't really had Batman dealing with anything outrageous over the edge. It's all been grounded, very grounded.
I also am getting the feeling, and obviously I could be wrong about this, but it seems like they're kind of having to what do you call it? Like when you just barely swim to not drown. They have to tread water. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I feel like they're treading water because of this metal event. Maybe a combination of metal and Doomsday Clock, right? Because you have Batman having that button, and you want to tell the stories, but I wonder if someone's literally holding Tom King back and saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we're gonna get to that in metal," or "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we're gonna get to that in Doomsday Clock." No,
Well,
no, you know.
I'm sure they there's instances like that. Like I'm sure if you've noticed, when was the last time you saw the Joker involved as a major part in anybody's story?
Yeah.
That's because we're waiting for Jeff Johns to answer his Three Jokers mystery.
Yes.
But other than when he had to do the button crossover with the Flash to lead into Doomsday Clock later in the year, it doesn't. I haven't really seen anything that indicates that he hasn't been able to write his story the way he wants to. It kind of just seems like, and you might see that with his past works like The Vision or with Mr. Miracle that he has going on right now.
Did he also wrote the Robin War, didn't he?
There were a couple of people on that.
I got to double check, but I think he also
yeah,
had a hand in that as well.
yeah. But it seems like Tom King's style is like to ground these
Right.
characters and tell stories of the more personal stories.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's wanted to tell these like these last couple of issues. He's told the story of Batman and Superman's relationship,
Right.
or Batman and Wonder Woman's relationship, or Batman and Catwoman's relationship. These are personal stories he likes to tell.
Well, one of the things that he definitely wanted to tell, it seemingly wanted to tell from the get, was this Batman Catwoman relationship, because we get it seemingly early on in his run.
Yeah.
Maybe little sprinkles of it, but a Catwoman is as much of a character in the Batman series as Batman at this point. Something that's kind of unheard of, besides the members of the Bat family. We even got like a very, very quick, once the proposal happened, that broke the internet as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Batman proposes to Catwoman after years of playing tickle butt, and they eventually end up settling on getting married. But I feel like there's almost been a rush to the wedding, where like when the Bat family finds out, it's almost kind of a, oh yeah, I'm getting married. Not a can I get married, or like a how do you guys feel about him getting married? It's more of a I'm getting married.
They did kind of address that too. Superman's like, well, he didn't call me.
He's going
He
through
didn't
it.
tell me anything.
I will not go, Lois. He did not.
Are we actually friends?
He left me on red, Lois. On red.
I don't.
Do you know what that means, so Kryptonian? So yeah, do you think that there is somebody in the Bat family that deserves the straight up and up, hey, listen, this is the woman of my dreams and I want to, or do you think it's in keeping in Batman to be like,
anybody deserved that talk, it's Damian. He's freaking 13 years old. He's a kid.
Yeah.
He lives with his dad.
He's finding out about these urges himself.
He's
little by
finding,
little.
yeah. He's got a Miko now, and like, But yeah, he's a child. Maybe Bruce should have had that talk with him, and maybe he did off panel.
Maybe he did on the ride home from his new wife beating up his mom, beating up Damian's mom.
We're gonna have to get to that.
Oh yes, we do, because ultimately, once it's been said that these two were gonna get married, it is all systems go, full steam ahead to clear up any loose ends that have to do with either one of them, so that when they do get married, it can all be heart stars and horseshoes. And one of those things that they have to clear up is the fact that Selina Kyle is currently accused of killing 236 people, and so there was a point in time in which she was going to flee Gotham altogether, and Batman basically had to beg her not to leave by saying, together we can face this. We just have to find out the actual person that's accused of these murders, and then I guess bring her back so that you can get off the hook. That leads them to a forbidden desert.
A trip to where is it, in Kandak?
Kondak. And we get a whole bunch of exposition about like the UN's not allowed here. We can't bring other people here.
Yeah, apparently a long time ago, Batman put down orders that not even he was allowed to be here.
You had that big is it tiger? The big
giant tiger.
The guard that's standing there that Selina happens to take out with one hit.
Oh yes,
or something like that. How do you feel? There was a lot about that too. I'm guessing we have to take this piece by piece, but there was a lot of issues with Selina Kyle being able to hold her own as often as she did. Do you see Selina Kyle truly as Batman's equal? And I ask that as the man who self-admitted to like Wonder Bat?
Yeah, definitely like Wonder Bat. But I had no problems with seeing Selena take care of herself the way she did because you know, if we've seen over the years, that's one of the things that Bruce likes about her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she can handle
this
herself.
is one of the reasons why he loves her because she can handle herself. Now she's with her man. Of course, she's gonna handle herself in front of her man.
Does she give up the life of crime?
Will she give up the life of crime? If she loves her husband, she will give up the life of crime. She absolutely will. She'll completely will. If she basically has, other than
Yeah. She loves that outfit though.
she does love that outfit.
Yeah, she loves that outfit. And that's a cat burglar's outfit.
What? Well, during her, she had an ongoing series for a while there.
Right.
During the new.
I wasn't able to catch that. How was that?
It it wasn't anything mind blowing, but it wasn't bad.
Was it like dealing with like the birds of prey and that kind of deal? Was it
Yeah,
like
it was
a lot of
just
Black Canary and stuff?
dealing with Selena's time in Gotham. She got to have sex with Bruce on the rooftop in the first issue to set that up. So they were always playing tickle butt.
Yeah, you gotta play that tickle butt.
But yeah, so I've seen her handle her own forever now. I've had no issue with that at all.
Okay. We get Batman basically with, like I said, a very curt explanation to his family as to the fact that he's getting married.
I thought their reaction to that was pretty good, though. They were like,
"Yeah,
what?
You like someone? You have feelings?"
And they're so large that you proposed. You proposed. Like it's insane.
And he's had within the last 5 years really deep moments with every member of his Bat family,
Yes.
like life or death. I loved you the entire time. You were my son. Like he's had these humongous moments with the Bat family, and now, do you see them taking a seat, like a back seat to this Catwoman stuff? Do you think it's gonna be
No,
like he's gonna?
I mean the Bat family, I think, is always gonna play a part in Bruce's life and the decisions that he makes.
Yeah,
they're always gonna be there, but sometimes we just don't have time to. They just don't fit in the panels.
yeah. And I mean, each one of them is in their own story.
Yeah,
they have their own books.
I think Dick might have even pointed it out recently. It might have been in the most recent issue of Justice League, maybe 37th, where he points out, Bruce is running the League, Dick is running the Titans,
Yeah.
Damian's running the Teen Titans.
I got stuff to do, and I got stuff to do.
They're busy, so it's they'll be around. I'm certain they'll be in the Bat-Cat wedding special.
It was definitely a big moment to hear what they felt about the entire marriage, but then ultimately we had to find out what Bruce's best friend felt about that. Is this, would you categorize Clark Kent as Batman's best friend?
Clark certainly didn't, or he felt offended at the fact that Bruce didn't even call him.
Well, you also got to remember, I mean, this is a half-an-hour podcast on its own. This topic that I'm about to bring up right now, but you also got to remember that this Superman has a very convoluted history with Batman, right? Because he's both Flashpoint Superman and then post Flashpoint Superman.
I'll try to maybe simplify it. In a simple way of saying this is, they have a really complicated history, but they would at least consider each other friends.
Yeah, or at least the kind of friend that sends another friend a wedding invitation
or a text message.
I don't know if Clark has a phone, but anyway, come on, it's the 21st century.
21st century.
Figure it out, Kryptonian. Pretty sure it's in Calex can make you an iPhone in 10 minutes.
Or Bruce can whisper it into his pillow and Clark can hear it 1,000 miles away.
I kind of had a little bit of a problem with the Super Friends arc because they say that Batman didn't even tell Superman he was getting married, right? But the last time I saw Batman and Superman together, Batman shows up in the Fortress of Solitude to be like, "What's going on, buddy?" Like Superman's going crazy about Jor-El possibly being Mr. Oz. And so there's this whole thing of like, "Come on, we could talk. Spoke to my dad too. He told me some shitty things too. Come on, we can sit here and talk about this." And I wonder if they got away from that a little bit just to add a little bit of the drama so that they can go back to being friends. They manufactured a little bit of a situation so that they can end up...
Well, Bruce did end that little dialogue by telling Clark, I'm here as a friend, but you're also a super powerful mega being, and if your emotions are not in check, we might all have some issues. So get that shit together.
Oh my God! Always got an eye on you.
always got
watching. Hey, friends close, enemies close.
I heard that door slam a little too hard. I'm here.
He is not playing. He is not playing those games. Oh man!
But actually, we did get a little bit ahead when we jumped to talk about Superman and Batman's relationship because I wanted to bring up how awkward it must have been because as we mentioned, Bruce and Selina had to go deal with the fact that she was accused of murdering 236 people.
A lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Hard
I don't think I can name 236 people.
No, I don't even know 23 people. No, but yeah, it's kind of hard to get a marriage license when you've wanted for like mass terrorism.
Like, so I know you from somewhere.
So
is there a wanted poster with your face on it somewhere?
The person who actually did this is Holly, Selena's childhood friend, who's being protected by Bruce's baby mama.
Baby mama drama.
Talia al Ghul. So now we've got the new wife, the baby mama fighting each other, and
is it fair to say? I think that Bruce and Talia's history is as storied as Catwoman and Batwoman.
Very, if anything.
Catwoman and Batwoman. Oh my God, Catwoman and Batman.
Batwoman might not mind that.
Oh well, yeah, that's
not
a whole
at all.
Other story for a whole other. Hey, we're looking at you, girl. But that's a whole other story for another day. But yeah, Talia, my beloved, the detective. That's been a thing. Also in
from my favorite run, Grant Morrison's Batman, the gigantic family court power struggle
out of control. And she has the genetic Damien in a tube. And dealing with all that, Talia was a force to be reckoned with last time we saw her. This time, she's a little bit more cordial. I guess seeing the man that she's been chasing for decades, because time does not exist in these worlds.
I would say that they're over each other by now.
You think Talia's over Bruce?
I think they've been through like the entirety of Grant Morrison's Batman. She loved him. And then by the end of it,
spoiler,
she murdered her own kid, and her and Bruce ended up having the ultimate custody battle.
Weird man bat people. There's things going on there.
There was a lot going on there, but in the end of it, I came away feeling that they are over each other, at least in that sense.
Oh, okay.
There's probably not going to be a Talia Bruce.
Well, to ensure that was the case,
Bruce brings his new wife to fight his
By the way,
mama.
I know I'm watching Our Son, but I want you to meet someone. Her name's Selina. She's kind of awesome.
We're going to need to take that hobbit you have in the basement with us.
And that's it. And next thing you know, Bruce and Talia engage in a sword fight. Talia stabs him in the shoulder blade and basically incapacitates the Dark Knight, who, prior to this, him and Selina went back to back and destroyed all the terrorist cell of
they must have been
Kahndaq.
at least a little tired.
That makes sense. And Talia, stylish as always. She has a nice little outfit on, has her swords. Daughter of the demon. All works.
She was also tired. A lot of people had an issue with Selina Kyle being able to hold her own against Talia al Ghul in a sword fight when in this very issue, Talia's explaining to Selina that she was trained by her father, Raish, or Raz, depending on who you are or what you're watching.
Or what section of country you come from.
Exactly. And how she's been killed and brought back to life more times than she can remember. And then, Selina holds her own against this master swordsman, and people are like, why is this happening? I don't know if you guys noticed, but Talia was in bed with multiple men and women, so she might have been a little tired.
Wait. Are you insinuating that Talia al Ghul was fresh off an orgy when she went to go have this fight? No, listen. As somebody who's never been in an orgy, that's a confession here made on major issues.
Live.
I've never been in an orgy before. That has to be exhausting.
I have had sex with at least one person at a time. And that is kind of exhausting. I think that's the way to go.
Personally, I think that's the way to go. I'm not much of a, I get flustered. Too many people in the room.
It's a lot.
Too many people in the room, I get flustered. Talia's all about that. And they say the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. She literally has a horde.
A sandwich.
A horde of people there. Wow. I get it. You know what? I'm going to give you some credit, Talia, because you were taking a different kind of beating before you went and had this fight with Selina.
And held her own.
But Selina is able to get past the daughter of the demon, and gives her. Talia's able to give her approval to Bruce, kind of in a
did give her approval. I like this girl.
Yeah, I like this girl. So the children don't seem to be 100% against it.
Damien's
Damien's
definitely.
a little bit
My
standoffish.
mom is in there. I know how my mom is, and I kind of like my new mom. I don't want her to
My
die.
new mom. Yeah, I do want to see more Catwoman and Damien.
I want to see. I was thinking that too. I want to see more Catwoman and Damien.
Because it would be like one of those things like, okay, you're going to school. Give me the
Knowing-
knife in your pocket.
Exactly.
Here you go.
You know.
Give me the mace. I know you have the mace. Here you
knowing
go.
knowing
You
Tom
know.
King, he will have one entire issue where like Selena takes Damien to school. Or
Yeah, but
something.
because Selena's here. She is literally at the side of Bruce, and like I said, they are going through this route of making sure that everybody knows that they're getting married.
And then-
I think that would be their biggest hurdle at the time was the even though they don't take Holly back, which is a whole other issue for another day.
Yeah, we are actually speaking about that before we started recording the podcast, and that we went through all this trouble to try to clear Selena's name, and then bring Holly in so that she can take responsibility for what she did, so that Selena can live her happy life with Bruce. And then when they leave the cave, they don't have Holly.
Well, Holly almost, she smells it. She's like, "You're only here because of him." She's like, "You're gonna make me go to jail because of him." And Selena's like, "Please," but there's never a resolution to
I'm
that.
just gonna assume that Holly agreed, and they're going to come back and pick her up when she's ready.
And there was also this whole thing about like, when you get out of this cave, you'll be arrested. There will be people here to make sure
Okay,
because you
so
cross
there you
these
go.
borders. But then they
That's what it
just
is.
left. They just took off.
I
Well, Batman
assume
has.
they had to get out of there before because they're vigilantes, and vigilantism is always illegal.
I wonder if that Batman
oh,
Inc.
and
thing.
they would cause an international incident just by being
Yes,
there.
that's what the whole thing was being said. Remember, Superman showed up. He's like, "I can't do anything because it'll be an international
Yeah,
incident."
we get this cool little scene where Damien looks at Superman and he's like, "You're in front of me. I would kill you, and
Yeah.
I'd use magic.
I know.
Everyone I know would use kryptonite. I would use magic."
Ah.
So it's got a
Damien.
cool little scene with Damien standing up to
Oh,
Superman.
and I love the Damien scene with Dick. I forget because of all the names and teams and everything, how much these two really have a deep history.
Oh, but they do.
Together.
They were Batman and Robin for so
Tremendously
long.
have a deep history together, and Damien could not stand Dick for
a long
very
time.
long time. And I would say
He
it
couldn't
went the other way
stand
around.
any of the other Robins because, they were being raised by his dad when he wasn't even being raised by his dad.
Yeah, and also the idea of like you claim like you are seen as the son of Batman. I'm legit the son of Batman. Like blood test 100%. I'm the son of Bruce Wayne. Thank you guys all for pretending as many years as you wanted to, but he has the real
I'm here
thing now.
And
Exactly.
poor Tim found that out harder than anyone else.
Oh my gosh.
But we'd be
Yes.
talking about that all day.
But let's get back to Superman. So Superman, prior to even being informed, he has a suspicion that something's going on. He shows up to Kahndaq, finds out that Catwoman, Talia, and Batman are engaged in something, but still doesn't know about the wedding. Finds out about the wedding, and we
He's
get
offended.
this issue.
He's offended.
Yeah, we get this issue of both females, Lois and Catwoman, both trying to get their guys together. Like, come on,
Yeah,
text them.
Supes is offended. He's like,
Call
wait a minute.
him.
I come to Kahndaq, and you guys are talking about engagements and stuff. Like, I thought we were friends, and Bruce didn't tell me anything. So Lois is like, why don't you call him? I don't want to.
Same thing with Cat. Cat's like, you should talk to him. And
You
he's
should
like, "Yeah, I
talk.
don't want to."
You should tell Bruce. You should tell Clark. You're engaged now. That's your friend. And Bruce is like, we actually get this really cool symmetrical thing going on throughout the entire issue where Bruce is talking about how he feels about Clark and how he sees him and why a person like Clark with who's so ultra powerful and who has so many things to do might not need any friends or
Right.
might not see a person like Bruce or the way Bruce sees himself who might not need that type of person as a friend. And with Clark almost feels the same exact way about Bruce and that he looks up to him and a guy who's been through so much and who's taken something that should make him hate everyone and turned it into his own version of hope doesn't need friends.
Yeah, I do think they've there's been a concentrated effort to reignite that friendship. We saw how close they were together in Metal. Where they have their own special code. The Trinity has their own special code. I mean, Trinity has their own comic. They since I would say about 5 years ago, it's been a concentrated effort for you to know that those three have a thing. Now that I've mentioned the Trinity, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, right? So the Trinity was a very different Trinity in the New 52.
Yeah, well, in the New 52 and you had Superman banging Wonder Woman, Batman was a third wheel, so we didn't get a lot of those iconic Trinity moments.
And
Where
the real victim of all that was Steve Trevor.
poor Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor was
Oh
miserable.
my God.
Was miserable.
Oh my God. It just reminds me of this classic panel during the Dark Side War where Steve and Diana are finally talking about what's going on, and Diana's like, I don't love Superman.
Yeah.
And Steve is about to kiss her, and this deranged version of Superman just sneaks up on Steve Trevor and grabs him by the head. What are you doing? But
and basically tells him exactly how he feels. You're mad at me because I'm strong and I'm fast and I can fly and you can't do nothing.
Basically,
and you want to be with this girl?
I was with you. I banged your girl.
Exactly.
And you couldn't even.
And I'm an alien. What are you gonna do about it? You gonna throw a punch? You want to throw a punch, old Steve?
I'm Superman.
Oh my God, Steve got no love in any of that.
Poor Steve Trevor is. I guess he's getting a shaft again. Well, let's.
Well, how did you feel about Wonder Woman and Superman's relationship in the New 52?
I thought it felt forced, even within the context of a lot of the stories that were being told.
Right.
They felt it was forced.
Yeah.
As characters, you could almost feel, because
you think it was just one of those lazy things of like she's strong, he's strong, put them together?
It felt like that, but
Okay.
it was also maybe what they thought was fan service. Maybe the fans want to see Superman and Wonder Woman together. I mean, we didn't care. We didn't want to see that. We liked what we had.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't like, I didn't hate it, but it did feel like it didn't feel natural. And come on, Lois and Clark.
Yeah, literally, there was a show called Lois and Clark.
I don't want to see him with anybody else.
That almost makes me wonder if they would have tried to continue that, because the New 52 was supposed to be the new truth, the new branding, the new timeline.
Well,
until Rebirth comes out and says, well, we'll have put a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B, but I don't know if things would have worked if they would have kept that relationship the way it was.
It wasn't going to work.
It betrays levels of that character, but I mean, there's kind of precedent for it because Kingdom Come, right?
Yeah,
and the Kingdom Come,
The Dark Knight Returns,
Wonder Woman pregnant,
Wonder Woman and Superman, but baby, they have sex that makes the Earth move. But
my God.
But I wouldn't. They would not have kept it, even if the New 52 was still a thing, and they kept that history, that version of DC's history. They were kind of against it themselves. They started to do this story where Booster Gold is actively trying to stop Superman and Wonder Woman from getting together because it affects the future in a certain way. But I'm so glad that that's been erased and thrown to hyper time. So that we got our classic...
Oh, you love hyper time.
I love hyper time. Hyper time, the multiverse, any crazy, gigantic in story way that they fixed continuity. I love it. I love it.
Gotta love the hyper time. But we're dealing with the Trinity. We are dealing with 80 years of continuity. We're dealing with some of the biggest paragons of the superhero genre ever, and it seems like the newest issue of Batman is adding a new interesting wrinkle to what we think the relationship is between not only Batman and Wonder Woman, but Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah, so Tom King's been exploring the relationship between the Trinity because we were lacking that for so many years.
Yeah.
And we got to see Batman and Superman patch things up, go on a date, let their ladies meet. And now we're getting to see how Batman and Wonder Woman feel about each other. Well, over the last, let's say, 20 years of comics, since the Justice League cartoon gained popularity on television.
Wait, are we talking about like Justice League 90s with the Hook, Aquaman,
no,
and
take it back that far. I want to say like from the year 2000 and maybe 3.
Can you believe that? If you say the year 2000, we're closing in on close to 20 years.
I can't
That's
believe
bananas,
that.
right? When you say 2000,
I almost said the last 10 years because I'm thinking like since the year 2000, it's 20 years.
Yeah,
it's like
about to be 20 years.
Well, 20 years, maybe the last 20 years of comics. Bruce and Diana have had sexual tension. But they've never acted on it. There was that one kiss. They kissed once, but they've never really had that moment, that Wonder Bat ship that everybody wants.
That we saw. I mean, we actually saw it in Justice League. Like we actually got to see what it would look like.
But so now that Bruce is officially engaged to Selena, people are thinking, I'm just gonna throw this sexual tension away. It's never gonna
Right.
happen. But no, we're gonna address it.
We have to.
We're
It's on
gonna
the table.
address it now. It's on the table. So where we are now, Bruce and Diana are going to meet an old friend called the Gentleman.
Oh, let's go all the way to the beginning. Diana turns on
Oh my
the
goodness.
bat signal.
Which is funny because Bruce even asks her, you could have called.
Like, that's
She's like,
huge,
I
right?
think
Like, we
this
never
is
see
fine.
anyone else do the bat signal to the point that Commissioner Gordon's like, I will kill. Like, when
He's like, who is
when I
that?
get up there, I will kill whoever's up there. And it turns out to be Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's like, if you know how to get in touch with Batman, please do, because I want to speak to him. Batman shows up.
It's already there.
Yeah, you could have used the Justice League beeper. And she's like, oh, no, I've always wanted to do this. I figured it'd be fun. Now, I have a little bit of a caveat in this issue. My first problem with this issue is I'm not a fan of how Diana speaks in this issue.
She does have a.
She almost has an Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah.
like you will fight crime with me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
she's almost.
there's been a conscious effort to give Wonder Woman an accent in comics ever since.
Is that the Gal
movies.
Gadot thing? You think?
It is the Gal Gadot thing. It's
And
100%.
she's actually looking more like Gal Gadot.
She
in
looks
these-
more like Gal Gadot nowadays. She's lost
Gal
a lot
Gadot?
of Gal Gadot. It
Gal
might be.
Gal Gadot. You know, but yeah. So she's coming in. She's already like, remember that thing that we're saying again, only happens in comics. When they show up and they say, do you remember that thing, that time that thing happened that no one else spoke about since then? Remember that? Well, we
Apparently.
have to address that. So Diana goes on an expository only for the reader, right? Because Batman knows all this, in saying that they have met a new character in the DC universe called the Gentleman. Not gentleman, because we already have a gentleman ghost, but the Gentleman. I wonder if there's any relation.
I
But-
assume that the Gentleman is the Gentleman Ghost, but pre-Ghost.
There you go, pre-ghost. It's like pre-Flashpoint. So you have the ghost pre-ghost, and he is fighting to defend the temporal or dimensional doorway. There's a bunch of demons in his dimension that's threatened to come over to ours and destroy Earth. And so he is having this battle ongoing, fighting hordes and hordes of demons in a place in which time moves differently. So he's seemingly fighting these battles for thousands of years.
Here's the thing, though. We're not told, like, he's in this other dimension where he's having this battle for thousands of years, but we don't know anything about this guy because the way the story was formatted, we're only learning about him through
Diana, yeah.
through Diana, Bruce, and through his own conversation as the story goes on. So we're under the assumption, and apparently so are Bruce and Diana, that they're just gonna go to this dimension, hold his spot for a little while while he gets some
They've agreed to
rest.
one day.
Just one day.
They agreed to one day take over his spot, and through some hocus pocus and tomfoolery, they're able to. But prior to that, it's all about how Catwoman kind of feels about the whole thing, right? Because Bruce, being the good fiance that he is, lays it all on the line. Hey, by the way, Wonder Woman stopped by today. She has a mission for us. We have to go to this place. And the first thing that comes out of Catwoman's mouth is send Clark.
Yeah. Why can't Superman do it?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You have to go where with who?
And you want to hang out with Wonder Woman now? All of a sudden?
Oh, you're talking about the flawless Amazonian, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
like where sun radiates off her cheeks, and I'm not talking about the ones on her face. And she is not with it, but Batman helpfully explains that if this is a
one day.
magical realm, then Superman's powers would not do all that well here, and then goes on to slight Superman by saying, and by the way, me and Wonder Woman fight way better than he does anyway. Like, we are way better hand-to-hand combat fighters, to which Catwoman says, don't let him hear that. I'm gonna tell him that. And then Bruce dons the suit that in which
boy.
he will fight the hordes and hordes of
He
these people.
has a medieval Batman armor.
Yes, complete with Finn, almost Trojan War like Finn on his head, and is told by Catwoman that he looks absolutely ridiculous.
He's ragged on.
That hurt me a little bit.
The
This
entire
is
issue.
your woman.
I actually thought it was so cool, and
thought it was
then
cute?
the characters in the book are like ragging on it, and I'm like, oh man, you guys are
It
right.
kind of made me feel bad. Like,
I
oh, this is a
guess
badass
so.
suit. And then, because even when, at first, Selena says that it looks ridiculous. And he's like, I don't, whatever. And then Wonder Woman's like, "Oh yeah, it kind of does look." And I'm like, "You're the one with the metal tiara
Hey,
and the
hey,
you know."
I'm just gonna bring up, Wonder Woman was outright sexist in this.
Yeah.
She's just like, look at you men, foolish men wearing your armors and with your pointy swords, trying to act like you.
Yeah, she was like, "Yeah, you look ridiculous, but men always look ridiculous fighting."
It's like,
I was like,
oh,
"Wonder Woman."
okay.
It's like you had to. That was the drop of the feminist movement that they had to add for Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
and that's
It's just
fine.
like, I get it, but you didn't have to cut. Sheesh.
That's fine. But in doing this, not to be left alone, Catwoman decides she's gonna babysit the gentleman.
Yeah.
Gentleman shows up with a nice cut. You see his haircut? He had a pretty legit haircut.
He was
Looked
looking
like a
all
fade.
scraggly, and then he went and met up with his boy, most likely.
Oh my god, my man has a fade, and he is
smoothest fade. Oh, and can I bring up he's Idris Elba.
He's do you think that's who he's modeled after?
Idris Elba.
Hey, listen.
The gentleman is Idris Elba. We should have brought that up in the beginning. Batman 39 guest starring Idris Elba.
Hey, listen. I'm pretty sure he went up to him. He was like, "I'm tired of being Hemdow. Please, anything, make me anyone else."
I'm
and they're like,
gentleman.
And they're like, "Oh, you're tired of being the guy that is the guardian of a certain place? We'll make you a guy who's a guardian of another place."
You're really good at it.
And so you have the gentleman there with Selena. Selena's talking to him about trying to figure out just exactly what he's been dealing with, all these hordes and hordes of demons, all this stuff. And we find out that the gentleman has a wife.
She's like, "Man, you have a wife." And she's still...
Yeah, if you have a wife and you were fighting for thousands of years, that would make her at least 1,001. I'm guessing. And he's like, "Well, no, that's not how time works in that place I was fighting in. As a matter of fact, time works way differently. So things are going to be different." She's like,
every hour
wait a minute.
I think every hour in the outside world is what?
Well, she says, and I like the way they even worded it, the way it was structured in the story. She goes, "But if that's true, they've been gone for a couple of hours, which has to be," and then it cuts to Bruce and Diana in a cave, in which Diana says it's been 10 years. 10 years. Now, there is a gold medal and a wing of heaven for the man who can resist Wonder Woman for 10 years. I have to believe that.
The look of realization on Catwoman's face when she realizes my husband has been
My
alone
man.
with that Amazonian goddess
That I was already kind of not okay with.
for 10 years.
For 10 years.
How many times must they have? And then we cut to Bruce and Diana, who Diana now is sexily bathing just in this bathtub, asking Bruce, "You must miss her, but you're here now with me."
I don't even feel like the words are all that sexual, but they make them say like the horde's everlasting. But are we? And I'm like, is that like
she's. It's funny because I took it as she's flirting with Bruce, but then when the panel cuts to Bruce, he's in the middle of he's being smothered by a horde.
She's like, "You need help?" He's like, "I got it. Leave me alone.
I got it.
We don't look ridiculous. Men don't look ridiculous." But 10 years, brother. 10 years is a long time.
They washed the blood off of themselves, and now they're alone in the cave.
Yeah, chilling.
They're alone in the cave.
And they still are waiting to be relieved. They will be relieved by the gentleman, seemingly. We'll talk about that in a second.
They actually, it's been 10 years for them, but they don't know that time. Well, at least the way that the way that the narrative is going,
they don't seem to know. They don't have a concept of time in this place.
They don't know that time is not passing the same on the outside dimension.
Right.
They think that they might never see their loved ones again.
Meanwhile, Catwoman's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be here in 20 minutes.
I'll be back in 20 minutes." But they're under the assumption that we will never see our families again. All we have now is the horde and each other
in this cave, and the panel.
Oh, the last thing we see.
The very last thing we see is them two seemingly reaching for a kiss. Both of those two, Wonder Bat seemingly reaching for the kiss, and then you have, like I said, Catwoman on the outs with.
I'm sure she.
Gentleman.
This is the cliffhanger, and I am sure that.
Well, this is the cliffhanger that broke the internet, right? Everyone has their say on whether or not they feel like Batman is going to be a cheater, whether or not they like this this Wonder Woman Batman relationship. There's been people that have gone on Tom King for it. They
Oh,
people that
he has gotten it the worst. He actually had to he had to come onto Twitter and apologize. As you see, I'm actually against any creator having to apologize for
for their
something that
creation.
they did in
I don't know about all that.
their
These
story.
are
It's like
but these
I mean, obviously, if you get a little
right.
crazy, but you're apologizing to people because they didn't like your cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger.
It's meant to do that. It's literally meant to invoke
leave you
emotion
hanging off a cliff. It's meant to invoke emotion. Get to the bottom of the cliff before you apologize
for
and
building the cliff, for building said
talking about
mountain.
talk about how I've learned a lot about storytelling now from you people.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he's like, okay, well, I will never give
Yeah,
you
putting
guys.
his head. Yeah, putting his head down like a. Well, I guess I tried,
I'll
Dad.
never give you guys a cliffhanger ending ever again because you're all children and you don't understand.
Well, that's an important thing to mention. This is a cliffhanger. So I guess my next question to you is, do you see
No.
something coming out of this? Do you
No.
see the actual kiss? Now,
I mean,
I also think it's important for us to mention that it has also been stated that this is a this storyline is very similar to another storyline that took place in Action Comics 761.
Yes. Before we talk about what we think is gonna happen next, let's talk about what we think how this has already happened. A few years back, in an issue of Action Comics, I want to say 761. Superman and Wonder Woman were called to Asgard, DC's version of Asgard,
With the red-headed Thor.
by DC's version of Thor to fight against DC's version of Surtur, to which they ended up fighting for thousands of years. And Wonder Woman, again,
something about being alone in battle.
Something, don't leave,
just
ladies,
fires up her loins.
Ladies, please do not leave your superhero husbands with Diana for an
10 years.
extended period of time
Yeah.
because she will bang them. Anyway, she does propose. She does proposition Superman, and he's like, I love Lois.
Yeah, he
I
does.
really
Stands
love
by
Lois.
his guards
It has
and
been
says,
thousands of years, and I miss my woman.
I miss my wife.
I can't do this. I miss my wife. I don't want you. I want my wife. To which I take that as Wonder Woman is a homewrecker.
So you think they follow in that vein in the next issue?
No, actually, Tom King has been asked about it, and he says it's an entire coincidence. I like to think of that as,
if it's a coincidence, does that mean that the ending will be different?
The ending might be different. It might.
They might get that kiss.
They might get that kiss. They definitely might. But I like to think that if they were gonna kiss, they would have.
Yeah,
And
but
the
you know
cliffhanger
what,
would
though?
have been the kiss.
But how much of a Because like I said, we're going to the romantic comedy side of this, right? With the Super Friends Double Date, we're there. We're at the romantic comedy side of this Batman situation. And when I think of these romantic movies, right, there's always a section, right? There's a Forgetting Sarah Marshall. You ever seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
I watched the movie, but a long time ago, not recently enough to understand any references.
Well, basically, what ends up happening is a guy breaks up with his girlfriend, meets somebody else he thinks is amazing. His ex-girlfriend ends up crying in his arms, and then attempts to perform some sexual favors, right? In which he then stops her, tells her he can't because he is in love with somebody else, and that they should have never been together. But then he has to confess what happened in that room. So, is there a chance that Batman, you understand, will say, "Oh, we kissed, but then I told her that it can't happen," and will that be enough for Catwoman to be okay with that?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that very first panel of issue 40 has Catwoman on a tree in the other dimension.
I caught you. You thought you could get away with this?
What is going on? What are you doing with this heifer? Yeah, I don't think Catwoman and Wonder Woman are gonna have the same relationship Catwoman has with Lois.
Right.
Now.
Right, definitely. And this is somebody that she can't help, but like Batman can't help but work with Wonder Woman. They're on the Justice League.
They're on the Justice League. They're coworkers.
So
you should never bang your coworkers. So I don't think Bruce should. And I said earlier in the episode, I was a fan of Wonder Bat more than I am Batcat, but I just don't think Bruce should be running around banging other chicks when he's engaged.
I hear that. I hear that completely. But it's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years. I don't think he's wrong. I don't think any of them are wrong. Wonder Woman had Steve too.
To put this in perspective, in about the same amount of time, in about 10 years, Joey got a crush on Rachel on Friends. All right?
10 years later, Joey was all ancient.
Yes. You understand? So It's like lines do get crossed in 10 years, man. 10 years is a long
It is a long time, and they're
time.
both under the assumption that they might never see their loved ones again. This is all we have
They
is
might
each
die
other.
here.
We might die here at any moment. So I don't blame them. I'm just like, oh
But
man,
will Bruce have the resolve? Will Bruce have the
yeah.
will to stay through and not kiss this gorgeous
Well, if there's one thing we know about Bruce,
Israeli?
it's willpower. Willpower is his
will.
deal. Super, like it's not his deal, but Green Lantern ring has come to him in the past,
And he broke it.
and it's
A version of
broken.
him broke
Other
it
versions of him have broken Green Lantern rings with
because
their
of all
willpower.
his will.
So willpower is it. It's Bruce has got that. I don't think he's gonna go through with it.
Is there a resolution of this story that you would not be a fan of?
I mean, I guess anybody could drop the ball, right? You could just the next issue they can actually just go through it all the way, have sex, and then they'll never tell Catwoman about it, and we'll never speak of it again.
So that would be what you would consider.
That would probably be like the crappy, and that would be an ending that I wouldn't like. Let's just do it. Let's never speak about it. On to the next arc.
Part of me feels like the main crux of this next story will probably be Gentleman's refusal to go back to the dimension. Because if I'm Gentleman and I'm like, oh yeah, nah, B, just hold this for a little bit. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go get cigarettes and milk, and I'm not coming back. It's just a situation.
Never. I am going to another Earth somewhere.
My wife, I haven't seen my wife in quote unquote thousands of years, and your boyfriend who's been there for 3 hours, you want me to relieve him?
Fuck you.
Nah. So I really wonder if he's even gonna go back.
Yeah, that's actually. I didn't think of that. He might. I wouldn't want to go back. He might. Why should he want to go back?
Who can make him go back? Selena's not gonna make him go back.
Definitely. Well, I mean, she's
might.
got Clark's
She
number.
might. She
She's
beat
got-
up a bunch of these assassins.
And she's got Clark's phone number now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they could just call Clark.
Oh my god. I hope it doesn't become this whole like love Pentagon. And she's like, well, I'm gonna go kiss Clark.
Oh,
you know,
no.
you're messing with me. I'm gonna go.
No, I'm gonna go bring Clark his trunks.
You understand? Oh,
No,
no.
God, no.
Action Comics 1000.
Oh,
Looks like
God.
It looks like he's getting the trunks
Superman
back.
has gotten his trunks back. Oh,
But
boy.
Tom King's Batman has been decisive. I heard that sales have not been all that well of Batman. I'm not saying that he is the deciding force on that, but there have been
Well,
people that's been trying to draw comparisons between this run and the Scott Snyder run because of how prolific it was in 2011 that they started that. I think it's an unfair comparison to
I'm
make.
actually a bigger fan of Tom King's run so
Yeah.
far, but that's because I'm a fan of intimate personal stories that more than the gigantic universe changing life altering
I see that.
arcs. So Scott Snyder had a lot of that.
Yes.
He did have a lot of that.
Yes, I mean, but by the time you get to Bloom and he's the big sunflower taking over the entire city.
I mean, he basically killed Batman.
Zero Hour
Had
is
Jim Gordon as Batman.
Zero
for a while.
Hour is a Gotham level event. When you do Night of the Monster Man is a Gotham level event. So I get that. The Batman that I like from Tom King is more of the Batman that talks to Gotham Girl and explains why he becomes Batman. And I feel like I really dig that Batman. I think my only beef with Tom King's run is I feel like we get these flourishes of greatness when it comes to these big story arcs. The War, Joke, and Riddles, the I Am Suicide. But I feel like the endings kind of peter out.
Yeah, he has this I wouldn't want to say an issue because I'm not a writer and I don't I don't completely
If I did Batman.
But he seems to be a lot better with one issue or two issue stories.
Right.
Where there's like lately maybe the last 5 issues of Batman, we're on 39 as we record this now, so maybe the last 5 or 6 issues of Batman have been comprised of 2 issue and 1 issue stories, and they have knocked people off their seats. Everyone's giving great reviews.
Right.
The Batman Annual, everybody loves it.
Yeah. The Batman Annual, made headlines too of just being great writing.
But when it comes to those 5 issue arcs, those 6 issue arcs, like the War of Jokes and Riddles, people didn't like it. Some people thought it was everything.
It's just the ending. I personally liked all the entire build-up, but then you get to the end, and it's kind of like it gets so large.
Bit of a letdown.
But it's almost like, again, like you say, I don't know if I could have done any better, but you start to wonder if his bread and butter should be more of those intimate stories like you were saying, and maybe this is a return to that. Maybe, having these stories being told is a return to the more intimate side of Batman, but also because of Metal, because of Doomsday Clock, because of these big DC-wide events, they've kind of had Batman do more of a like these are memories or these are a story that happened in my past, like not actual things going on in the world of Batman, because we have things going on in the world of Batman. He's in the dark universe,
One of the
strapped
things
to a
one,
tuning fork.
one of the things we actually missed was lost in between the Super Friends arc, the introduction of a new Batman villain, which is apparently going to be around for a long time. His I wanna say maybe we shouldn't go into details
Right,
about
right,
the
right.
story right now because we were focusing on the Super Friends arc, but you were saying that it feels like because Batman's character is being involved in so many other universe changing stories that in his main book he's more setting things up for when
Right.
he's free down the line. You might have a point there in that we just got introduced to this brand new villain who's not going to be important for
Oh
for
yeah.
for a little while. But yeah,
Well, you got Bruce. You got you got him finally seemingly happy with a wife, and now that might all be gone. That might all end. This is literally in his hands. He is a hero, so it stands to say that he probably won't do anything to
well, one
dissolve his
thing one thing
marriage.
I learned on the internet recently, let's not say that it's just Bruce's choice. Diana also has a
Oh,
choice.
this is true.
I
This
did make
is
the
true.
mistake of
Was that?
saying
Oh my God, is that sexist? Was that sexist of me to
I
not include
did
Diana's
I didn't think it was, but
wishes?
then I realized, I did learn on the internet in the comment section very recently that it's not just Bruce's decision, it is Diana's decision as well. Because I was under the assumption that she was single, but I
Right.
forgot
She's
that
with
she
yeah,
is
Steve.
with Steve Trevor right
Steve
now.
Trevor.
So they're both making bad decisions here.
So then I guess I want to ask you. We're this has been great. So we kind of ending this off, but before we end this, how do you feel about Wonder Woman in the scheme of things, in the entire scheme of, I guess I would ask, do you feel like Wonder Woman is important or not important with a male counterpart? Because a lot of the Wonder Woman movie rests on the shoulders of female empowerment, on the strength of a
I
female.
think I think that she works with a male counterpart when it's a reverse of the male female relationship that we're used to seeing in stories
Okay,
where the male is always taking care of the female and making sure that
dominance,
she's okay
caretaker, right?
and telling her what to do. And in the Wonder Woman stories, when we get that in reverse, and we've got Steve as the blonde damsel in distress,
Yeah,
and Wonder Woman as the hero who's coming to save him or pull him out of the situations, that works in the
okay,
favor of women empowerment,
right.
and in the fact that it's different from what we've seen all the
So,
time.
so do you feel like this is uncharacteristic of Wonder Woman at
I
this point?
felt like there were a lot of uncharacteristic things that she was
That
doing.
she was doing in this? Is that just Tom King not knowing her voice
It
in
might
this?
be that was one of the that's exactly what I thought it was. Tom King is fairly new to the comic world, ex-CIA agent.
Yeah,
He
it's hard.
it's
It's hard.
hard.
Everyone has their own voice. Everyone has their own things that they would say, and us as readers, because we take in so much medium of this, we can spot it instantly, right? We'd be like,
Yeah,
that's not
exactly.
what they would say in that moment. These people have become our friends. When you're a writer, it's much harder and much more malleable, where you get to now change things you might not like about that person. And then you start to make your own flurries, go online and find out that every single one of your flurries has been documented, a red circle around it with an X through it, and they want you dead.
One
So.
thing I don't want to do though is be like gosh, that's not what Wonder Woman would say because well, it's what Wonder Woman said and it's what she did. So this is
Yeah,
part of
well,
her character now, and
that's a big thing in comics, right?
yeah.
Like people saying, that's not what blank would do. I mean, look what came out of Last Jedi, right? The entirety of Last Jedi is people saying this was not faithful to the characters. But with this DC rebirth, we are supposedly getting more hopeful. We're supposedly getting more enthusiastic about life in general, and the only way to do that is to kind of push that Amazonian floozy to the side, Bruce, and
Yeah, we
kind of
gonna.
sort
I'm
of.
glad that we are. I'm glad that we at least addressed the Wonder Woman Batman tension,
Yeah,
and that it looks like we're gonna take it off the table for a while, but or maybe forever. Because for me, if Bruce and Kat are gonna get married, leave it that way. I don't want the next writer to come in and divorce him.
right.
Just give this man his happy ending, please.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm happy we're able to tear this apart because like I said, it has been dominating headlines. I guess the last thing I want to ask you is, what do you think is going down in this wedding of the century?
Oh boy,
Do you
I
think this
am.
happens? Do you think it is a formal sort of like in a church or on a terrace with guests kind of thing? Do you feel like it will be interrupted? What do you think? What do you think this wedding thing is gonna mean to the Batman mythos overall? Is it gonna be as synonymous as Mary Jane to Spider Man?
Well, one of the great things about comic books is that these stories are always they're always changing. The story of Batman will never have a definitive ending because there will always be a new creator who will come on and have his own ending to his story of Batman.
That's
But
true.
Batman is one of my favorite characters. I like to see my characters happy.
God forbid, right?
I,
Also, so you're all for the Dark Knight Rises ending, huh?
I'm for it. You know, Alfred's dream of seeing Bruce in Paris and happy with Catwoman. I love that. That was great. This is what I want from actual Bruce. The Tom King's annual.
Without the I failed you.
Without
I failed you, Master Bruce.
I want Alfred to be happy too, not just Bruce. But
I'm about to go on a crazy tangent, but I promise I'll make it quick. Has Alfred ever had a love interest?
yeah, he has his daughter too.
No, Alfred had a love interest,
in
like
stories
someone he dated, like someone who's like, wow, how long have you been working for this, Mr. Wayne? Do you want to go get a coffee?
I feel like that would be an amazing B story to whatever's going on in Batman at the time. Just
Alfred some love.
Like Bruce calls out for a tea, and Alfred doesn't answer because he's on a date. Sorry, Master Bruce.
Or like,
or
I'm
in
dying.
bed.
I need the Batwing, and you just see him like getting the notifications. He
like-
puts it face down.
He's busy. He's getting it on right now. Alfred is in bed.
He's like, you were saying, ma'am. Crazy. I hope that this wedding happens, but man, listen, I've seen enough superhero weddings to know that right before they say I do, Selena is gonna rip her face off and be the Joker. It's gonna be some kind of crazy.
Honestly, there's so much money on the table, like with the Batman Catwoman wedding special. First of all, solicitations for February 14th for February have already come and gone. So
Right.
I think that they missed an opportunity for releasing this
On
close to
Valentine's
Valentine's Day. So hold it until next year. Get it out until Valentine. Get it out for Valentine's Day. The Batman Catwoman wedding special.
So you want like his or her robes?
I want I want the whole thing. I want Bruce to be happy about. I want him to
the richest man in the DC universe.
I want him to not see Selena in her wedding gown. I want the whole thing, and I know they'll get interrupted, and they will have to go fight people in their wedding outfits, and I know it. But damn it, they better say I do.
Like I said, you gotta watch out for Alfred. If you don't give him that love interest, he might be the one. I object, sir.
It was like I just want him to have that happy ending, the one Tom King gave him, the happy ending. He unfortunately had his issues with his brain, and he passed away. But he had his family to keep the Batman legacy going. He has his son. He has his sons. Excuse me.
Yes, he does. He does.
And he
has his surrogate family, and now he may be able to start the family that he wants.
He had everything he always wanted, and he passed away with a smile on his face.
Well, Batman's gonna keep continuing continuity. We can't stop this man. He's already, like I said, close to 80 years in continuity, and he's just gonna keep going.
But just give him his wedding. He could be married for 80 years.
Ironically, the morning that you guys will be hearing this live, issue 40 will be out. So we will have spoken about everything that's happened. And guess what? Issue 40 could come out, and the first issue could be him waking up from a dream and being like, oh, that gentleman dream again. I was dealing with that.
Why do I keep dreaming? I have to stop watching The Wire before I go to sleep.
That Dark Tower was a good movie. Dark Tower was a good movie. Yeah, it could all be a dream, but we had to give you guys the raw and skinny how comic book fans felt about what was going on in the comic book world, and I think we did that here. I think that was it's been tremendous. I kind of did count Tom King's run. I want to see the definitive story that makes it that that does it for me.
Well, I'm sure that the people are gonna be talking about the Batman annual for years
Oh
to
yeah,
come.
yeah. It is. It's done so much for the mythos of Batman, and it's not easy to add. People think it's real easy to add to the largeness of what makes Batman Batman, but it's not.
Yeah, a lot of things have been done already.
And not only have they been done, they've been done and then left by the wayside by the next next writer. You have this weird petty kind of thing where it's like, oh, you made Batman do this? Screw that. I'm writing Batman now, and he'll do what I say he does. And so you have that. Hopefully, Catwoman stays with him. Hopefully, Batman
Forever.
Yes, hopefully Batman and Catwoman stay together forever. I
Because
want you happy, Bruce.
I'm gonna buy the wedding special, and I want that issue to matter 3 years from now. I don't want to pull that out of my
Oh,
long
and you're like,
box
I remember
and
the
be like, oh
time
yeah, I remember when they
when
were
they were
married.
playing around with the
Oh,
yeah.
don't do that to me,
It's
please.
ridiculous. We want them to be here to stay because we want, when things happen in comics and they make them last for a long time, it makes them more important. It makes them
Yes.
mean more. It makes them bigger moments in history. Just like this podcast, this episode right here is a moment in history. This is some people's first episode. Some people were like, I needed to hear about the Tom King madness, and I went to major issues, and those guys, they did what.
I hope we helped you out.
Yeah, we just let you vent a little bit. You heard us vent a little bit, and the crazy thing about it is, you can hear us vent every week. This major issues podcast comes out every week, and we deal with the greatest and latest things to come to comic books and comic book media. Sometimes I'm here with Yogi, sometimes I'm here with Carlos Maximus, sometimes I'm here with Dan the Comic Man. The clique is large and in charge, and even with all the things that we sit here and discuss and dissect, it really is you, the listener, that's able to help us grow to the lengths that we are now. You guys have went ahead and subscribed and liked and left comments and reviews, and all I ask is that you continue to do that. There is somebody out there that needs this podcast that doesn't know about it, and it's up to you. With great power comes great responsibility. Tell them about the Major Issues podcast, found wherever podcasts are found: iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. I think we're on SoundCloud. We're definitely on YouTube. Look up Major Issues Comic Book Clique on YouTube. We are everywhere, and we can get even bigger and better. It all depends on you guys, the readers out there. The readers, listeners? Well, you're reading the comics, listening
They're
to
reading
us.
the comics. They listen.
Yeah,
to
you
us.
understand?
Hopefully
Salt
not at
and
the
pepper.
same time. I don't want to distract you.
Hey, listen, peanut butter and spaghetti. That's where we are right here. I think that goes together, right? Maybe?
I
A little bit.
hopefully we go
Protein?
together. We go together better than
Yeah,
peanut butter and
hopefully we
spaghetti.
all go together better, but we need you guys to grow. Thank you guys so much for everything that you've done. We hope to tackle more comic books here on Major Issues. And guess what? I think the Doomsday Clock might be one of the next episodes
boy.
we
I
deal
can't
with.
wait.
There have been some big things happening in the DC universe, and we're going to tackle them right here on Major Issues. Is there anything you want to say to the brilliant readers, or anything you want to say in conclusion to this Batcat fiasco we've been dealing with the last week? I kind of just want to say, comic readers, we could be more patient. Take these cliffhangers as you get them. Not everything is going to be, award winning or internet breaking, but
I've got
go on the road.
2 things to say to comic readers who are listening at home. One, if you don't read the comics, you don't get to have an opinion on what's happening in the comics.
I get you.
And 2, relax.
Leave
Tom King.
Tranquilo. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Leave Tom King alone.
Hey, he's just a man. He's just a man. I do not condone death threats. Let the man do what he does.
He is a former CIA agent.
And guess what? Oh no, CIA agent.
The last thing you want to do is bother him. Okay.
Oh my God! And the thing is, to be honest, if Tom King is not your deal, there are books out there, decades and decades of books. Read something else you like.
Read Grant Morrison's Batman. If you want to buy it in trades, it starts with Batman and Son or Batman the Black Glove.
I recommend that as well. You have Creature of the Night just started. Batman the White Knight just started. These are standalone series written by different.
Batman the White Knight. We're gonna have to do a podcast about that because that's something else.
Yeah, I've heard some news coming out of that gate. But yeah, Batman is going to exist. You don't like this current incarnation? There are other books to read. Go out there.
The next train.
Yes, go ahead. Just wait for the next train. This one's too full. And with the next train, you'll have the next episode of Major Issues. This has been the Major Issues podcast, dealing all about Cat, Bat, and Tom King. My name is George Serrano, a.k.a. The Don.
It's Jonathan Escudero, a.k.a. Yogi.
This has been Major Issues.
See you.
We have major issues. I know after this, I definitely have some major issues.
I've got major issues, but I'm happy I was able to share them with you all.
Oh, this has been great. Remember, Facebook.com/ComicBookClique, Instagram @ComicBookClique. Use the hashtag ComicBookClique to talk about all the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. Major Issues is here. And remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.